Moving from SAP to Odoo was actually like a breath of fresh air, address that customer's needs and mobilize the rest of our company to support what it is they're looking for.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your company.
We are Polaris Integrators. We're actually two companies. We're Odoo Partners. I'm based out of California, and I've been working with a partner in India for the last 7 years.
Oh, wow.
We've worked so well together, we decided to form a joint venture here. So we started this new company called Polaris Integrators. So between us, we've done over 500 implementations. There's 100 employees. And we feel like our skill sets have matched each other so that we can deliver a lot of value to customers in the United States. And that's kind of our approach right now.
And is there a specific industry that you work with, or are you in all verticals?
We're in lots of verticals, but our primary areas of expertise are in manufacturing, retail, e-commerce, and wholesale distribution.
Okay.
So,
and did you always start with Odoo? Did Polaris start with just Odoo? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
We've been exclusively Odoo. My previous life, I was an SAP consultant for about 15 years. And so moving from SAP to Odoo was actually like a breath of fresh air. To be honest, the tool has been great. So in my capacity as an Odoo partner, it's only been Odoo. We don't do any other ERP implementations, though we bring a lot of knowledge to the table for our customers that may be on NetSuite or Dynamics or QuickBooks or Sage or whatever software that they're on. We have that in-house knowledge. We just don't offer that product.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then being such a large and spread out team, how do you kind of break down those teams? What's important to have in those teams?
We found the customer-facing team just needs to be so good.
Yeah.
And deliver that value to the client. We're seeing our Odoo customers want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to somebody who's knowledgeable, not just about the technology, but about their business domain.
Yeah.
And when we build that trust up with them, they continue to come back to us. So that's the front-facing team. We need to have somebody who's maybe not just focused on sales, but can really talk to the business about their specific industry. And then that person needs to be able to turn around and translate requirements into our back-end support team, whether that's custom development or sustainment, infrastructure support. So really that front line of defense, that functional consultant, is where we see the biggest asset of our company, being able to address that customer's needs and mobilize the rest of our company to support what it is they're looking for.
Wow. And as far as size and location, so you mentioned you're in 2 different locations. Do you often see clients in both locations, internationally, virtually?
Yeah, our joint venture is focused on North America. So one of our sections does work outside the US, but Polaris Integrators is focused on North America. Oh, wow. So we see clients all over the country. And a lot of our business comes from word of mouth. So our customers are talking to other customers or potential customers, referring us, and then we're meeting with them to see if we're a good fit for them.
Right. And then based on size, are these customers small to medium-sized businesses, or have you broken into the mid-market corporate space?
We have lots of different, let's say, types of customers. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
Startups are a big thing in California. So we work with a lot of startups. And the good thing about them is that they typically don't have a lot of process in place. So a system like Odoo helps put bounds and helps them direct. We also work with a lot of companies that have been around 30, 40, 50 years that are doing manufacturing in the US, and they're coming off of some legacy system. So they have more established processes, their culture's in place to do what they do very well.
Right.
So that's on the small to medium size. On the real medium size, we're finding a lot of customers are cross-shopping us with NetSuite and SAP, and at that level, we're finding some challenges. Being not necessarily willing to take risks on software like Odoo, and we have to provide our value to them, or we have to prove our value to them as functional consultants, that we know the business that they're in, and we can truly advise them on the value proposition of Odoo. But sometimes it's tough to get our foot in the door at that level, because at that medium-sized level, we're competing with people that have been around the industry for a long time, and they're going with what they know. Right. Which may be SAP or NetSuite.
Okay. And speaking about being the knowledgeable ones, do you find that prior business knowledge, prior knowledge coming with so much experience helps?
It is the reason why we're in business.
Yeah.
Like we found that our model is we typically will meet a client and just give them free time up front. And we say everything out on the table. Any questions you have, we're not here to try and sell you. Ultimately, we want to build a relationship with you and become your trusted partner. But what we found is if we can answer their questions intelligently, with whatever time it takes, it might be 8 hours, it might be 10 hours, we're giving that time for free. we're proving to them our skill set and our knowledge of their domain, and we're deciding if we want to work together.
Right.
So yes, to answer your question, I think having the knowledge, that domain, and being able to answer their questions intelligently, you're sort of completing that sale at that point. And so it's more when they trust you to provide that business knowledge, the technology of Odoo is just, it's sort of like an icing on the cake or a cherry on top.
Complementary to the knowledge, right?
And we can show them, okay, we understand your business, and this is how Odoo will enable that business. This is how it'll provide that value to you. And we can tell them the right way intelligently, yes, Odoo does this part really, really well. Odoo does it this way. But being able to answer those questions right there where there's no pressure, you're not under contract, and they don't feel like they're spending a bunch of money, we found to be very successful.
Great. And then after that pre-sales process, obviously every implementation is different, but what do you kind of sum up as your start to finish implementation methodology?
Typically, there's a blueprinting phase where we're going to go through, and every client's different. If they're a brand new client, there's a lot less of this, but our blueprinting phase, we want a few set of deliverables. One is their to-be process. We've gone through and analyzed every single part of their business and understood how they're going to execute tomorrow. And so we'll come up, this is how we're going to execute in Odoo. That may involve sometimes customizations. It may involve third-party apps. It may involve some business process changes. But out of our blueprinting, we want to know exactly how they're going to execute. And then from that point, if we have custom development, we'll execute that development, do testing. But then we start working on conversion strategy, go-live strategy, training packages, things of that nature. And so typically we'll do that blueprinting phase. There's a phase of realization where we're executing our code development, our training, and then we schedule our go-live. What we've found is our pace in many ways is determined by the client. It's not so much the same amount of work that we have. It's the ability of their folks to be involved, get in the rooms and answer the questions and like understand the product and give their feedback. That sets the pace of our implementations in many cases. It's not so much us saying, okay, this is a 3-week implementation and we've slipped. It's more, okay, that person is wearing 3 or 4 hats at their company and they weren't able to necessarily support.
Right, help me help you.
Exactly, right.
And so when coming into the implementation process, you have a team, a staff of 100 people. How do you find and the staff find the learning curve to get themselves to that Odoo expert status?
We've standardized a lot of our processes. So we've standardized how we document requirements. We've standardized how we execute those requirements. We've standardized how we tested. And it took some work to get there. It was a learning curve. Early on, customers said, hey, we need this code done. And we would say, all right, we'll give that to you tomorrow. It'll be ready. And then we would deliver to them. And then 6 months later, no one remembered what we did and why we did it. So we learned some things the hard way out of the gate. There were some growing pains. But once we standardize our process, we feel we have a very robust process for implementing aspects of the project, whether it's some sort of conversion activity or development activity or training activity. So those teams understand that process and they can execute to that now. So they don't have to think about the whole scope. The person running the project has to think about a certain scope. The developers have to think about their scope and so on and so forth like that. So every one of those 100 people is in some domain where they're focused and they know our business process and we execute that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so your partner journey, obviously you merged with another partner. How have you found the Odoo partner ecosystem?
It's been, first of all, everyone we've ever worked with at Odoo has been great. So it's always nice. Our account managers have been great to work with. We haven't used the ecosystem as much for onboarding new clients or incoming clients. So the support we get from Odoo is always very responsive. It's nice to be able to get someone on the phone. Usually we're tapping into Odoo when we need to get contracts signed, when we need to get license and subscriptions up and running. If we have any questions about those, always very responsive for us. But it hasn't been so much about us securing new clients through that avenue. I will say though, one thing we've noticed, which has been huge from the ecosystem, is just our name on the Odoo website. People find us from there because they're looking for Odoo support and they scroll down the list, they find us and we get a lot of calls that way. So in that sense, it's been huge for our business.
Wow. Yeah. And other than that, how do you kind of handle that sourcing now?
It's been word of mouth. We feel very strong about the prospects of Odoo in the United States and there's demand out there for this type of capability and technology. So we've been fortunate enough to have a lot of word of mouth referrals. And also, when we have done so many executions, we're getting more and more and more calls. So people that worked with us on one implementation have gone to another company, they recommend that. that coupled with, like I said, our listing on just the Odoo website as a valid partner has kept the business coming in. Yeah.
Well, and so do you have any advice for those who are looking at partnership?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've talked to several people today about that. I think you focus on your domain, you deliver in your domain, and you build that reputation and that skill set, and you grow from there. So if you have been in manufacturing, you find those
Right.
clients in manufacturing, you find companies that are willing to work with you, and you build on that success story.
So you recommend when you start choosing an industry, getting really good at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because like I said earlier, we're finding that people want to go into partnership with you. The people that are considering Odoo, they're not looking for some software that they install. They're looking for a solution. They're looking for value. And when you can provide that value because you can speak intelligently on a domain, then they're going to keep calling you and they're going to tell their friends about you. So that's been our experience, that when we deliver for one customer, that those same customers will recommend us to other customers.
Right.
Yeah.
And looking forward into the new year or moving forward, is there anything you're excited about, company-based, Odoo-based, anything you want to share?
We're always excited about new versions. So version 17's got a lot of great features. So a lot of our customers are asking us about when they're going to be able to upgrade.
No, it's upgrade season.
It's upgrade season, yeah. So it's always fun because it's almost like a kid in a candy store in some sense. Like they get all these new capabilities. For us, because we're a new joint venture, we're really excited about the prospects to just expand our reach in the U.S.
And do both sides get to interact often in person?
Yeah, well, 3 or 4 times a year, right?
Oh,
Because
cool.
we're
But
we're online and talking daily, basically. All of us are working daily with each other.
So, silly question. If you could choose a new feature in V18, is there something that you think you or your customers would want?
Yes. How much time do you have? We would love to see 2 things, really. We would say feature a more robust manufacturing opportunity. The manufacturing solution does what it does really well,
Yeah.
but it's for a very specific type of manufacturer. Job shops, folks working with their hands, kind of small things. We'd love to see a solution that is available for people that build at a higher rate, that are using robotics or machines, so that we can produce at a higher rate. It's
Right.
not so much reliant on a user going to a system, pressing a button, recording a data entry. That would be a big case, or a big offering, I think, in
Yeah.
V18.
AI and robotics seems to be like the new frontier when it comes to
It is.
enterprise software. I
Right.
have had so many of these conversations. They're like, we're going to be integrating AI, we're going to be integrating robotics
Right.
into our, yeah.
But the thing with the robotics is it's been around a very long time.
Right.
So the solutions there between ERP and an MES and the robotic layer is not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just got to implement it so we can offer it to our clients. That's what we're seeing there. Yeah.
So is there a certain implementation example that you can give us for, that it follows your expertise?
Yeah. A lot of our manufacturers build custom products. So they're not necessarily repeatable things that they're building the same thing over and over again with a stable BOM. So we found sort of a niche market there where if a customer needs to customize whatever they're building, sometimes they may be able to select parts from a catalog, but sometimes they need the solution engineered. We've found a lot of work in providing value upfront in that quoting and customization process. So from the point that they need to create a custom bill, getting that quote out the door quickly, where the bill can be created to represent what the customer wants, and then seeing that custom implementation all the way through to delivery to the customer has been big for us. So we have a manufacturer in Kentucky who does custom artwork, and every single piece is custom for them.
yeah.
And they may order 15 to 100 pieces. They're all each individually custom. So they have to rapidly be able to turn around the estimate, because everything is custom, and then they have to turn that estimate and all that custom artwork into actual executable manufacturing orders. So again, we feel like our knowledge of manufacturing, working with the client to understand their needs and be able to deliver that solution at Odoo, provided a lot of value to them.
Wonderful. And I was going to ask you your 3 favorite aspects of Odoo, but I guess
Yeah.
that was the first one. Do you have any other 2 to share?
Well, let me give you the 3. The first one, and why we love Odoo so much, is user friendliness. Of all the ERPs that have grown over the years, they've grown from the 90s, now here we are 30 years later, they started with functionality, and they built functionality on top of functionality. I think Odoo started with user experience and worked backwards. And so when we can go show a client and they can immediately feel comfortable with the user interface, that's a big deal to them. They're not like scrolling through pages and having to figure out where a field is. That's a big deal. So user friendliness. The other one is scope. For most of our clients, it has a sufficient enough scope to meet their business needs. So there's not some huge gaping capability necessarily that they can't go live without having. So that's been one thing, or number two. And number three is just the agility. If we need to modify, whether it's through Design Studio or through custom work, the resources available for being agile that way have been remarkable. So the types of clients that we're seeing are wanting that capability.
Wow.
They're the kind of client that doesn't want, let's say, like a NetSuite solution where this is the way it is, it's out of the box. You can customize, but it's going to be a big lift versus an Odoo. Like, this is our business. We want our business to run this way. We want the technology to enable our business. We don't want necessarily to change our business to match the technology. So Odoo's value proposition is it's very dynamic. It's very agile. It can be customized either by the user in Design Studio or with a little bit of coding. It can be modified to meet their needs. So if there's a little bit of a gap in capability, we've found being able to plug that gap is a huge value to our clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Please do. This is the face behind the voice. We love you, Emilia. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.